Today marks 1686 day of day lessons, day reflections. And today I want to speak about life by design. I really love this topic because majority of my life, at the beginning of my life, was by default, not by design. And I think that is extremely important for every single person to really learn to live a life by design. And I was thinking about this topic because yesterday I had a conversation with my friend and I asked a question: how your perfect day would look like, how your ideal day would look like. And my friend was struggling. He was struggling to really think about what he potentially would do if nothing is an obstacle. Sometimes we create obstacles and if you think that's too far away, we need money, we need time, we need this and this and this and another and third. And if we even don't consider how our ideal day would look like. And I learned that from my mentor that life by design is that we need to reflect on it because everything in life happens twice. First in your mind, secondary in life. If you never thought about it, it will never happen. So the deal shares 7 truths that we need to consider about life by design. Otherwise, if you do not design it, we will live a life by default. And if we do not like our life, it might be that's time to really choose designing it rather than allowing life to default mode. So number one, most people never choose their life. They inherit it. And I think that majority of my life, all the way till 25, I was living just the things that I learned from the culture, from friends, from parents. I inherited the understandings and environments. Everything was just set up for me. I didn't need to choose anything. That's how it was basically done based on the culture. And at 25, I made a decision to leave my country and to come to Canada. And that was the best decision in my life because that's one moment when I actually started designing my life. Started really thinking what I truly want and what I potentially could do. And I think that every single person really need to ask ourselves, is this career is by default? Is this relations by default? Is it those beliefs that I have is by default? Or did I actually sit down, reflect on it, and really choose them? I designed them. I thought about my vision. I thought more about my calling. I thought about the things that I want to do. And I thought, this is exactly what my career will look like. This is how I want to live. This is how much I want to have finances. This is how I have resources. This is what kind of relations you want to have. This is what kind of person I need to be to attract this kind of relationship. And I think that by design, we need to understand that we need to choose it. Otherwise, we inherit it. Number two, clarity is prerequisite, not a reward. But it means that people wait to be clear before they act. But that probably potentially could lead to 0%, 1% chance that you will get something out of it. Sometimes when people wait and they get something. And now because there was someone who was waiting, who was patient and he was waiting and waiting and waiting and finally received something. But in general, success is for those who are intentional, who initiate things, who makes things happen, who take ownership. And it's interesting because clarity will never come first. It will be certainty, potentially. You're certain about how things will look like, how things will be, but not clarity. Clarity only comes after action because action already allows you to see what exactly is happening. What kind of results do I'm getting? And it's interesting because sometimes you can get lost. Oh, when we'll get clarity, then we'll take action. Or maybe the only reason that you don't have clarity yet is that you never take action before. Number three, your environment is designing you, whether you design it or not. It's interesting. It's a bad news. It's a very bad news that our environment is designing us. But there's a good news. There's a good news, and there is one very good news. Very good news. And that is that we are designing our environment. We could choose to design our environment. It could be our environment designed to for us by default, by environment, by friends, by family. But we have an option to choose our environment. We have an option to design our environment. Some days I know that it could be that you have influence on an environment. But if you don't have influence as much as you would love to about your physical environment, I know there is some situations that you don't have as much say to it. At that moment, at least you can really work on designing your inner environment. And that's you have 100% control and ownership of designing that. And that's the good news. No one else is able to control your inner environment because your inner environment and outer environment will dictate your life because your environment will start designing how you act, how you react, how you do things, how you interact with people, how you build things, how you see things, how much joy and bliss you're able to enjoy on a daily basis. And that's again, your environment is designing you, whether you design it or not. Number four, a designed life will feel selfish to people who are living by default. It's interesting because when you really choose the life by design, you most likely will be more intentional. You will be able to say no more, and you will be much more clear about it because you know that where you're going, what is your dedication, what is your vision, where you want to go, what kind of help do you want to have, what kind of relations you want to have. At that moment, you will say no to people who will live by default, and they will feel rejected. And I think that is extremely important to understand that when you really start living by design, you will need to leave most like a couple of relationships who are just not going where you want to go. Because people live it by default, they don't know where they're going yet. And when you know exactly where you're going, you live by design. Sometimes it's again choosing yourself to making sure that you're going to the direction that where you're going to. Because a person who lives by default might be by default going opposite where you want to go. And that means sometimes people need to say, okay, it seems that based on your actions, it seems that you're going opposite where I want to go. And sometimes we might need to walk away. And that's totally fine. Number five, you can't design life you haven't imagined. And then again, this is one of the probably the most important things about life by design. I already started at the beginning that everything in life happens twice: first in your mind, second in your life. If you never thought about it, you'll never have it. So that means that you can't have life you haven't imagined. That's why it's extremely important to reflect on consistent basis once in a while when you really have more perspective, more understanding, more clarity. Really reflect on the vision, on the mission of your life, of your design of your life. What should be, what could be, what will be in your life and in your future. What could be, what they do I need to do today to achieve that? Because I think that be able to really always go backwards, let's say like if I want to achieve this kind of vision, what do I need to do on a daily basis today? Because today is the most important day, anyway. And that we need to choose to design today. Because I think that my mistake was a lot of times was that I was designing future. I was designing my vision, mission, purpose, but I was not designing today. And because I was not designing today, my designed future doesn't matter as much because I will not achieve it. If you really want to design your future, you need to start designing your today. And that's extremely important. But you need to imagine as well. That's extremely important. Because how you're supposed to design your today if you do not know what you're designing that for? Number six, discipline is just delayed decision making made visible. When you really start living by design, willpower is not as much important. Because when you are by default, you just put a lot of willpower to take action and be disciplined. And I think that when you really know that this is exactly what you're supposed to do, this is exactly what you design your life for, to be disciplined at that moment, it's 1,000 times easier. And people say, how you are so disciplined? Maybe because I know where I'm going. Maybe because I know that this is exactly what I want. Maybe because I designed it and I thought about it, reflected on it. And because I have the clarity. I start to take action. And I know that this is exactly what brings me joy, even though that I maybe moved just an inch forward, but I know that I moved to the right direction that inch. That makes me joyful. And of course, at some point, the discipline start to show up. Number five, number seven, the last one is the life you want requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And this is I really loved, always loved it. If you want to have what you never had, you need to do what you never did. And if you want to do what you never did, you need to become what you never been. That means that you really need to choose a new version of you. And again, designing your environment, designing who you are, designing your beliefs, designing your. There are so many things to design that is extremely important to design. As you designing your health, designing your inner peace, inner world, outer world, and everything I think that we can design. Sometimes we can really be disappointed about certain parts of our lives. And we can ask, like, how much did I actually design and or how much did I allow life to build that for me? And now because life did build it for me, I'm not happy with that part. So maybe starting to say, now I will not allow my life to design it for me. I will not allow my default mode to really build that part of me. I will design the future what I want. I will design today just to make sure that I on a daily basis able to move to the direction that I want. I really love this topic about living a life by design, not by default. Because when I was living by default, even though in a sense I was quite successful in other people's eyes, I was an unhappy person because I knew that I was not in the right train. And I always used to feel that something is missing. So when you really start living by design, it might be that for a short period of time, you will feel vague. You will feel uncertainty. You will feel that you don't know where you're going. But I think that's again part of the journey to understand that this is I'm designing it. When I'm designing it, it's not that when you open this sketch and you say I will make a blueprint for a beautiful high rise. That means at the beginning you still need to draw all the pieces. At the beginning, nothing will see. So at some point, the blueprint for your life will look beautiful. But at the beginning, you just need to take your pencil and you need to take your some tools and start designing it. And at the beginning, it might be messy. And a lot of times, probably will need to really delete some things that you really painted. And I think that at some point you build your blueprint with a pencil. Okay, that's exactly I think that what I want, and then you take action, and then after you take action, you have clarity. Now you start to be able to really write it down your blueprint even in. And there's nothing wrong if at some point a blueprint doesn't work again. I think at some point we're able to grow and transform ourselves. It's like I need a new blueprint, and you're not supposed to be afraid of that blueprint, a new blueprint as well. Because the most important part is able to design our life for ourselves, for our family, for the people that we care about, for our faith, just to make sure that we live a life worth living. So I hope you choose to win and see you tomorrow.